Oh, the one I brought out? It's in the room. I'm just waiting to see if I get anybody.
Should we do a dance, sing a song?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Okay, we'll see if anyone comes on. Hey, John, what's up? How's it going? Thank you. That's why pretty much I'm doing the live. Just a BS live. Talk about anything. That's if getting more people. We'll see. Yeah, I finally hit it. Our daughter's new boyfriend actually helped out. He talked to a few friends and they all subbed. About 50 shorts. Wow. I'm going to have to step up my game here. That's for sure. Because, yep. I've only done, let's see, one video today and a shirt yesterday. So, yeah, not too much. Oh, really? Well, that happens. We all get busy. Just me, sometimes I'm just like, during the week, I just don't want to deal with it after I get back from work. And plus, we have to wait for daycare to close. So it's like, by the time I set everything up and everything, it's almost time for bed. Yeah, you live in the central part of the country. It's starting to warm up here now. In fact, this week's supposed to be like 76 degrees. So it's already going to start getting hot. Had a couple of sprinkles today, but nothing too crazy. We already had that last week. I know back east is still kind of cold. But out here it's starting to warm up, which is kind of nice. I don't like the cold. That's for darn sure. It's bad enough where we live here in the foothills. It gets It get into the hundreds. California. Near the Sierra Nevada foothills. If you've ever heard big trees, we're like max 40-minute drive from it. Yeah. It's what people call Cali. Actually, I like California. I was born and raised here. It's got some interesting stuff. It really does. We have the largest sequoia redwoods in the world, which are really, if you have never seen them, you should in your lifetime. Because seeing pictures and videos of it just doesn't do it justice, the awe of them. They're just so massive. Like the park I mentioned, Big Trees, they've got one. A fire had gone through there and hollowed out one of the redwoods, and you literally can walk through it. It's you gotta kind of hunch down a bit, but you can walk directly through the center of the tree. It's so cool. But it just really puts it in perspective how massive these things are. Because the ones we have where I live, they're bigger in diameter. The ones more up north are taller than the ones we have here. So there's only two differences between the two locations. But yeah, it's a kind of scary sometimes when you're walking through them and you can hear the trees like swaying from the wind. I'm serious. I mean, if you get the chance just to experience these trees, it's like flooring. It puts into perspective just how tiny we are to these trees. It really is, but they're amazing trees. Especially in some areas, you can see where the roots have pushed up through the ground, and they're just massive roots. They had another tree there. It blew over about 3 or 4 years ago from the wind. And this is during the time of Model T cars. So they actually cut out a section at the base. And the museum has a picture of it where this Model T car is driving through it. But that's why eventually it blew over, because it had no strength at the base anymore. But yeah, it was a trip. People could walk through it. You know, it was kind of neat. Yeah, they're just massive trees. Massive trees. And it's a nice area, especially if you want to take a picnic or a walk. You can go swimming there. Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. They cut out. That's at the park that is 40 minutes away from us. But unfortunately, it blew over. It finally just gave up the ghost, and it blew over. It toppled over. The rest of the tree is laying right next to it. So you can kind of see the two sections where the cutout used to be. And you can see the wind when it blew it, it just twisted and snapped off and hit the ground. But yeah, it was a neat thing. I've walked through it. It was kind of cool. And then they have another tree that before they were declared federal forest, national forest. My cat. They had cut a tree down, and it was used for our dance floor. And it's still there. Yeah, they literally cut the hole by hand. They sawed right through it. And then there's another tree, which is called, God, what is that old tree called? Mother of the Forest. And that's a tragic story. When they first discovered these trees, nobody believed them, the people who discovered it. So what they did was they literally stripped the bark off the tree and to take it back east and reconstruct it with the bark. Funny thing is, when they did that, a fire broke out where this structure was to show people back east. It was like New York. It caught on fire and burnt down. But unfortunately, they kept doing this to this tree. It's dead now. But it's the funny thing is, the tree is still standing with no bark, even though it's dead. It's still there. But it's actually a really sad story. But it's called, I think they call her Mother of the Forest. And it's technically one of the oldest trees there. There are a few other that range in the same age, but she's like one of the oldest trees. Yeah, if you get a chance, go there. You can camp there. They have a campsite. You can go swimming there. All kinds of stuff. And the park is huge. And then there's the park up north near the Oregon border, which they have, if you ever heard of them, the elephant trees. Because the roots look like trunks of elephants. It's a really cool place to visit. If you've never visited, you'll be in awe. You really will be. The sad thing is, with these redwoods that we have, the only way they can start new saplings is from heat. They actually needs heat, like a fire, to go through to open up the pods that are on the trees to drop the seeds. That is the only way. Hey, Outlaw, how's it going? We're just talking about the Sequoia redwoods here in California. I was telling John, if you've never visited, you need to. It's an experience to see these trees. It really is. If you've never seen them, they're awesome trees. But yeah. No, you couldn't cut one of these trees. There ain't no way. These things are massive. I was telling John that they have one that is hollowed out actually from a fire years back. I mean, way before people discovered big trees. And you literally can walk through the tree because the fire just hollowed the whole thing out. Yeah. I always tell people, if you've never experienced it and you should. It's a cool park. And we're only like 40 minutes away from it, up the hill. But it's a nice area where we live. It's, for the most part, is quiet, which we kind of like, especially our neighborhood. It's really quiet because both my wife and myself come from the city. My wife from the Central Valley, and I'm actually from the Bay Area. No. Well, it's like I was telling John, that's the sad thing about the Sequoia redwoods too, is they have pods kind of up on the branches. So in order for it to release its seeds for another sequoia to grow, it needs a tremendous amount of heat, like from a raging fire, to open up these pods. And what the heat does too, though, to the seed, it kind of germinates it. So when it hits the ground, it gets into the soil, then the seed itself can open up and actually start growing. If there's absolutely no heat to it, the seed itself even won't open up and grow. So it's kind of like nature's way of playing a joke. You know, you'll be in awe if you're in, like I was telling John, seeing these trees in person is way different than looking at pictures of videos. But it puts in perspective how tiny you are to these trees. So it's like nature's joke, haha. We could grow more, but unless we have this, you're never going to have any more. So, and for them to get to the size that they are now takes thousands of years. Like in even your lifetime, Outlaw, you'd never see it at that, the height and width that these things are. Kind of, yeah. But like I was telling John, the ones that we have in our park, they're bigger in diameter. I mean, it's still really tall, but the ones up north near the Oregon border are actually taller than the ones we have here. In fact, about, I want to say 12, 13 years ago, one of the big sequoias up north fell while the park was open. And nobody was hurt, thankfully. But I told my wife, if you go back and you look at the, because people got pictures of it and video of it falling. And I said, you freeze frame it when the tree's falling. You see this person, he's like yay big, running from the tree. A lot of people didn't catch that. You've got to kind of zoom in on the image and you'll see this person full sprint image of somebody running. I don't know if you guys ever heard like a tree fall when it starts falling. It's a scary sound. My wife and myself experienced it. We used to live up the hill and we're right next to the road, kind of where we lived, and had high winds, and a pine tree just snapped from the base, and it was just the sound of it breaking and coming down. It's not a fun sound. You'll never forget it, though, I'll tell you that. It's very distinct when a tree falls. Oh no, he was running underneath it. It was already motion coming down when the person was running. And really, that stuff won't work good for a saya, for a sword, because it's redwood. Redwood's a really soft wood, but it makes great fencing. It really does, because it's less prone to rotting really quickly. But yeah, to use it for like a scabbard or a saya, it wouldn't work very well. Like I said, it's really soft. In fact, if you get green redwood, you literally sometimes compress your thumbnail in it. Hey, Tone Deaf, welcome. But it's a pretty wood. Once you sand it and you give it like a clear lacquer on it, it's beautiful wood. Yeah. It does compare to poplar. Poplar is just a little bit cheaper than redwood. Redwood's actually a little bit more expensive.
But yeah, redwood's a beautiful wood. But for things like that, it might work for a handle, yeah, because it's just your hands on it. You don't have anything metallic rubbing on it. So, but for a side, no. Now, it would look cool for one is if for like the Koraguchi, you cut it down and you make the Koraguchi mouth around it out of redwood, and maybe the Nakago, and you left it natural and polished it out or lacquered it really good. That might actually look really cool. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, for a handle, it would work just fine. Really. Right? We should go back to those days, actually. Those were interesting times. Now, as far as medicine stuff, I wouldn't go back to the medicine they had back then. I'd just keep that as is nowadays. Yeah. Hanbon actually. Make America medieval again, right? You never know, it might. But I was going to say Hanbon actually has a naval sword that they did. So basically, it's just a Nogi Sakuri. The saya is, can't remember if it's metal or wood. Might be wood. It's real elaborate though, done. But the handle is what makes it different. The handle is a French saber's handle. So it's got the guard on it and everything. And it's a one-hander with a Shinori Sakuri blade on it. Something like $1,200 or $1,500 for it. It's a cool sword, though. I would love to own it. But for their the Japanese, their naval commanders, that's what they had, and it had a French saber handle on it. They copied the French's saber handle. Well, there wasn't actually really that many duels back then. And there were actually certain rules to having a duel anyways. Like you literally had to have reliable witnesses from both parties. You just couldn't have a duel. Even in Europe, you just didn't do it because it got kind of sketchy who started what, and did you just murder the guy? So even back then, they still had some rules on all that type of stuff. The nice thing about those days, though, was if you're walking down the street with a sword, it's not like you had people challenging all the time because you didn't know if that person was more experienced than you. So you really had to keep your cool. Well, yeah. With phones and stuff. Yeah, the Gunto. That's a totally different beast, the Gunto, because the Gunto was just strictly during World War II. And they made those different lengths actually. Like pilots had a Gunto. It wasn't just the commanding officers that had them. All pilots had a Gunto, and they were a little bit shorter. God, what was the length of the Gunto for pilots? It wasn't Wagasashi length. It was, I want to say 23 inches was the blade length for a Gunto, because they could sit it next to them in the cockpit. It was kind of attached in there, so if they had to jump out, it was easy to grab. And believe it or not, Guntos are illegal to own in Japan. No, yeah, they had some Guntos that were two-handed. I think that was officers, and actually a lot of them were. But yeah, the Gunto from World War II, if the Japanese people aren't allowed to own them, not even for antiques, because they're not declared an art piece. They're actually declared a weapon of war, so they're illegal. I've read stories on Reddit where people were kind of ticked off that their grandfather wanted to send this sword back from a soldier they killed, and they refused it, but they didn't look at the laws. It's because they're not allowed to. They legitimately can't. If they get caught, they can be arrested and jailed for that. Because it's not an art piece. The sad thing was a lot of those Guntos during World War II at first were made from antiques. So they basically took the Skoff, the Suba, and all that and slapped on the handle that they were using for the Gunto. So a lot of antiques were lost during that time because of that. But then some were found in like the Philippines and stuff. And people were like, what the hell is this doing here? Well, that's why. No, unfortunately, no, it's not, because all the fittings were for during World War II. That's why. So they classify, and it's hard to know if it is an antique, because you got to remember, it wasn't until almost the Edo period where a lot of swordsmiths were signing their swords. So prior to that, like the Meiji, the Henya period, all that, it wasn't a standard yet. So a lot of swords were not signed. So you don't know if it was an antique or not, unless you really looked at it. So that wasn't a set standard until, during the Civil War, with Tokugawa and all them trying to seize power to make, Japan unified. It was about that time period that swordsmiths started really signing the blades all the way through the Edo period on forward. So it was never a set standard yet. If you go to, God, what's it called? Samurai Museum, I think it's called. It's in Tokyo. They're online, and they deal with a lot of antiques, katanas, wakizashis, tantos. And if you just go on there and peruse it, you'll actually see some that from like the Meiji period that have no signature. Yeah, a lot of people say Nobunaga. I think I would go with Tokugawa because he was smart. He was way smarter because he just sat back and waited. Instead of wasting all his guys, he waited until he spread himself out thin because he knew that was going to happen and took advantage of it. Hey, Bird, thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much why I'm doing the live. It's just, random BS live. Oh, definitely Outlaw. If I could afford one too, I would. I would have already had one hanging up in my house. Definitely. That's why I find it ridiculous when some places want to charge. Like I've seen some people like, oh, $10,000 is made here in the United States. $10,000. I could save up another $6,000 and get a Wagasashi from the Edo period. Why am I going to give you 10 grand when I get a real deal? All I got to do is either save $6 more grand or 10 more grand, and I can have the real deal from Japan. No, I'm not going to do it. Oh yeah, you get some deals. You get some deals on swords, antique swords. You really can. You just got to shop around. But some of these ones, like on I think Samurai Museum, they have I forget what they call it. It's a high certification for them because they have categories for all those swords. That's why. And the high certifications are like they were during the time period, they were the top notch swordsmiths. So that's why you're paying so much money for them. A Shadow Dancer, huh? I've heard a lot about them. Be careful with the Hero. I don't care if it's an S5 or not. Just be careful. You do not do a really bad cut with it. Because yeah, heroes. That's why I don't own a hero. If I do, it'll be in a Wagasashi. They're so prone to bends, chips, breaking. That's why the Japanese stopped making them in katana form or tachi form. Hey, Space Ghost, thank you. So yeah, Bird, when we're going to see you cut? I saw that one video you put up. That's about it. Been busy? By the way, Space Ghost, love the background. Is that black light? Yeah, heroes are. There's very little structure to those. That's why the Japanese stopped making them. It's not like a shinogi. You know, a beefy blade. That's why they stuck with that style of blade. Berza, stepping up his game, getting lighting. That's the I would say, Bird, that's like the most hardest thing is getting your lighting correct. I even have problems with that stuff. Yeah, lighting's never any fun. I've learned so much on how to do good videos, so you're like everything's lit, fairly decently and everything else. And oh my God.
Well, thank you, Space Ghost.
Now I got to get in touch with my brother and see if the snow has melted, because he lives up the hill, and that's where we're going to be filming the short film, is up the hill. Because we do not have 4-wheel drive. So that way we can get going now that it's spring and getting practice going, choreographing, and then filming, because I don't know how long the filming is going to take. It's like someone at work asked, if I had started yet. And I said, well, I told him no. And he said, how long is it going to take? I said, it could take a day. It could take 2 days. It could take a week. It all depends on how everything goes. And then it depends, because the weather's supposed to be really good, but this week we're supposed to have rain again. It's not supposed to snow or get cold, but it's going to rain again. So we've always got that to contend with. And then we have to worry about where we're filming, people coming in the area and getting in the way or trying to walk on the path or what have you, because it is a public area where we're filming. I mean, it's a killer location that we found. It's just about springtime, it starts getting people there. Summertime, it's crowded as hell there. But yeah, it's a chore sometimes. Yes, I've seen the snow in your videos there, Space Ghost. I used to live in the snow. This is why I don't live in the snow anymore. I used to drive a big rig in the snow. I don't do that no more. That wasn't fun. Especially one time I was driving my rig. It was basically a garbage truck. Weighed about empty. It weighed 86,000 pounds. And I was driving up a grade like that. And all of a sudden, I'm getting ready to crest over it. And the whole rig stops. And I went, oh, shit. And I just went straight back. Kept it straight all the way down until I got to the bottom. That was scary. We actually don't get that many earthquakes here. In fact, where we live, literally the area that we live in, the Sierra Nevada foothills, has never had an earthquake. We're not near the fault. Where I used to live, I grew up. Oh yeah, we're right on. I was right near the fault, which is basically the bay. At one point, when I lived down there, I was an hour away from San Francisco Bay. Yeah, it's that was a scary experience. I had to tell my partner, "You have to take over. I can't drive," because we had partners. Oh no! And he even said, "I have never seen anybody keep a rig this heavy so straight, going backwards like that." I was like, "You got to drive, dude." I can't drive any now. Nope. That was a long time ago. But yeah, and no, Space Ghost, you're right. It is treacherous, and I'm sure you've seen it too. Just people being stupid in it, totally, completely stupid in it. Every time. Well, this year wasn't bad. For actually, we didn't get much of a snowpack at all this year, which is bad. And normally when we have really bad storms, you always get these idiots who think they can drive super fast, like on dry ground, and they wind up rolling every time. Oh, it's spooky at times. It really is. Even on when it's dry, it can be spooky driving those things because if you get too close to the edge to gravel, it wants to pull the back end up off the road. Yeah, Space Ghost. That's what we get here too. We get people all the time, even locals. They have a 4x4 and they're like, "Oh, I can still drive fast." No, you can't. No, you can't. We had last year, and we're at just a little above 1,000 feet. Okay, so it doesn't snow here. But last year, woke up in the morning, and we have actually 2 Kia Souls. I decided to drive the older one because it had to be driven. So I get on the highway and I start driving and I notice something ain't right here. The road feels a little squirrely. So I look at the temperature. It's 23 degrees. I'm like, oh shit. It had rained the night before and totally cleared up during the night. The road was like glass. No cables, no chains, no studs on my tires. Because, well, we live just a little bit above 1,000. Everybody that day was doing about 25 miles per hour, going from where I have to drive from my town to the next town, which is 15 minutes away, driving. That took me almost an hour because we were all going so slow on the road. And that little car did awesome. And I have a hill like this I have to go up. Made it just fine. If I went above 30, the front end would get squirrely. So we all crawled going to the next town. And then about 3 hours later, when I was at work, I looked at my notifications. And some dummy in a jacked up truck, and it was like maybe an hour and a half after I got to work on the same strip of road, flipped his 4x4, jacked up 4x4. I mean, it was like completely on its side. And I knew exactly the spot he hit. And it's like, you're an idiot. The road's like glass, and you're trying to drive fast. Yeah, and that was a spooky day. My boss, he lives literally 5 minutes away from our work. He had to put his truck into 4-wheel drive because he lives in a trailer park just to get out of the entrance of the trailer park. Because his tires on his truck were just spinning. He couldn't believe it. He was like, whoa, what the hell? Oh yeah, we see it all. I see it all the time here. You know, and it's always people in a jacked up truck. 90% of the time it's an idiot in a jacked up truck. You took away your center of gravity for one thing. And yeah, they always wind up rolling or flipping. It's crazy. Oh yeah, I know. We used to have a truck. And I tried to when it got. I knew it was going to be icy or snowy. It wasn't 4-wheel drive. I'd throw weight in the back, like steel, throw it in the back of the truck, just weigh the back end down as much as I could. This last storm we had, the really good one. It rained really good, and just around the corner from my neighborhood, I don't know how this person did it, has a slight bend on the road. They had to be going fast. It was just a sedan, but they literally turned their whole car upside down. And there's really the location. There's a slight embankment, but nothing bad. And this turn isn't really that sharp. But yeah, they literally flipped their car all the way upside down. Exactly, Outlaw. The lower gravity you have, the better off you are. And yeah, Space Ghost is wear and tear. In fact, here's what they don't realize neither, because they never do this. The bigger diameter you put on your vehicle, you have to put bigger brakes. In order for your vehicle to properly stop when you need it to, if you put bigger tires on, you got to put a bigger brake system on. Little regular brakes aren't going to do it, but they never do. And that's why you see them just skidding. And then on top of it, this happened to my sister. She used to have a truck, and she let her boyfriend put those big jacked up tires on there. It puts the wear on your wheel bearings, and his on her truck froze right up because of the weight of the tires on it and everything, because didn't change the bearings out neither. They're just regular stock bearings, and they just froze up. They literally had to cut the lug nuts off because the impact wouldn't take it off. It is. I've seen some crazy trucks here. Absolutely crazy. It's just point. And those tires are easily over $1,000 to $1,500 a pop. Screw that. It's bad enough for our cars. They're like $350 for 4 tires. No way. That is great. That is insane to spend that type of money on those tires. And they do you no good. None whatsoever. No, what really wins is lowered trucks with hydraulics. You ever seen those? No, mud tires are not snow tires. No, they're not, because it's a different cut. Yeah, we have them out here, Space Ghost. They have hydraulics. They lower it even lower. We can do this stuff and everything. I mean, it's great if you're in the city, you know, with the truck like that, with the hydraulics and it's lowered, it's fine, you know. But if you're living in the foothills and stuff like that, where you got to deal with ice, snow, and everything, it's pointless. Yeah, it's basically what they are, Space Ghost. Is a low rider pickup truck. Yes. And really, they do it with small trucks only, not big trucks. Like the old school, you know, small or mid-sized trucks. That's what they do it with. But that won't be hard. Just take the shell off, take the body off, and just drop it on a different body. My favorite blade lately? You mean aesthetically or cutting wise? Because aesthetically, right now, it's going to be the one my wife just got me, the Koi, and it does handle good. I haven't cut with it too much, but it does handle good. It's a light blade. It really is, probably because of the hammered back that they did. But aesthetically, I think it's beautiful. I love the bullhorn on it and everything, but it does handle really good. Now, cutting wise, just straight up cutting, because like I said, I haven't used the Koi one that much. I would still say my Sea Wave right now is one of my favorites to use, because I have a lot of favorites. That Wario, a lot of people love the Wario. Yeah, I do like my Sea Wave one too. Love that the leather on it is so comfortable. Now, comfort wise, um, that's a tough one, because that's going to be a toss up between the Bohayo Sea Wave and definitely the Sawadi Dragonfly with that Jarabaku or whatever wrap it's on it. It's hard to beat that wrap. Right? We got to get everybody together, figure that out. Airlines would love us. Can you imagine a bunch of us getting on airplanes and from different parts of the country with swords? People are going to be wondering what the hell's up. But it would be funny. Here's an off-topic question. Has any of you had any issues with shit that you've ordered in the mail just fucked it up? Oh, that's hella cool, bird. Birds on it. Yeah, it's kind of like our local Celtic fair. Your swords have to be what they call safety tied. It means you can't draw it. It's tied so you can't draw the sword. Well, in Bird's defense, he's had a lot going on. he did kind of have an accent that delayed a lot of things. No fault of his, you know. Unfortunately, shit happens. Yeah. I'm just glad Bert's still around for us. Because that could have been so much worse, man. I'm glad you pulled through that. That was bad. No, you didn't. It's cool. Yeah, well, I meant not a bad package. Like the mail just screwed up. Literally, like it's your pack's supposed to be there one day and it's not even there. Because I just recently had that happen. It's not the first time. I'm kind of pissed off. Because I was hoping it'd be here for this weekend so I can try it out, you know? And nope. Because if this short film that we're putting together works out, we're going to do another one. But my wife's going to be mainly camera operator. So she has to know what she's doing and what gear we're going to use. Yeah, see, because I okay, so I'm not the only one. Because okay, I know none of you live in California. That's fine, but y'all know where San Francisco is. Yeah, that's messed up, Bird. So we have San Francisco, and then there's a city called Tracy. Okay, it's kind of like from where I'm at to San Francisco, the middle way, middle point. Okay, and then it will come up to the foothills. So the deal I ordered was in San Francisco, which is only 2.5 hours away from us. Yeah, right. Right now. So it gets to Tracy. Normally from Tracy, it's no time where we live to our town. So I check on it, right? Because it's coming United Postal. They sent it to a city called Oakley. Well, Oakley's in the opposite direction, going back to San Francisco. How they did that, I do not know. So it started off in the Bay, got to the Valley of California, and then went back to the Bay again. And the town we live in doesn't even start with an O. The backyard meth cutter. Can I have my sword back? So yeah, I'm glad to hear I'm not like the only one that's had this issue. Because yeah, it's not the first time it's happened to us too. That one though, that was irritating as shit. Because I was like, how do you get those mixed up? I just don't get it. Sending it back in the direction it just came from. Yeah, it's just like my wife and myself it's kind of a joke we have. Ever since 2020, just people went stupid. Well, that's good, Bird. You hadn't had any of those issues. Yeah, so it was like, I'm just glad it wasn't a sword. You know, because I'm like, great, got this sword floating around. You know, don't know where the hell it's at. So, of course, the U.S. Postal's all delayed in transit. No shit. You just sent it back in the direction it came from. Yeah, that's normally what happens, Bird. Once you say it and you recognize it, you're done. You're going to be like the rest of us. Because, like I said, I was hoping it would be here this weekend because I wanted to try and get some cool shots with it and have my wife do it. No. Didn't work that way. Oh, well. So suppose it's supposed to be here Tuesday. We'll see. It's like UPS. UPS will hold anything I order. It's like they'll hold it for like ever and don't know why. Your sword fetish. Well, it's like if I order, let's say I order a sword from Hambon, it normally comes in through the East Coast, across the country. When it gets to Indiana, it will sit there for 2 days. I am not joking. It will sit there for 2 days before it leaves. If it's UPS. Now, if it's United Postal, 3 days after it gets through customs in New York. 3 days, and I have it. UPS, no, hold it in Indiana for 2 days. It literally takes them 5 days to get it across the country to me. Well, this last sword, that's what surprised me. The koi themed katana my wife got me. She said when she checked on it, this is the first this has ever happened. They mailed it like from Long Quinn, and it came into LAX. It got here hella fast. Like within a week, it was here, she said. And that's because it came through LAX, and I guess it came mail, now postal. So like I said, normally it's just 3 days and we have it. So we're like in two days after it cleared LAX, she had it here. Actually, bro, I've never had one get lost in customs yet. I've been fortunate. Now I've said something, though, I'm probably going to be screwed. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't know. Every time I order, it comes in through the East Coast. Once it hits Indiana, that's it. It's like, well, there'll be another week before I get it. And that's if it's UPS. If it's United Postal, after it clears customs, like I said, every time it's like 3, max 4 days. But normally I get it within 3 days. Because they put it, United Postal puts it on a plane, flies it across the country. I think UPS wants to drive it across country. That's ridiculous. And they got planes. But yeah, the last sword, it came into LAX. She was surprised. That surprised me when she told me it came in through LAX. I was like, what? They never come there. And it was SF Express. Yeah. So I was like, well, damn, maybe if they figured out, if it's going to California, just ship it. Because it would literally, if they did that, shipped straight from Long Quinn to California, I would have it within a week, probably. Hey, Tempest, what's up, dude? Yeah, it might be Outlaw.
Winner just had an accident. Okay. Winner just had an accident. He peed. Okay, what do you want me to do? I need the spray. Okay, well, I'm supposed to put pieces of a puzzle together?
Thank you, Tempest. Yeah, the Edo Rep, if you're getting it brewed from Japan, yeah, it's going to cost you $25 in shipping.
The perfect wish you always had.
Anywhere from $25 to $30 for shipping. It's expensive on the shipping.
Oh, where is it? Unless I put it out here.
I did Outlaw. I made it to 1K. No, I see that, Tempest.
On my carpet next to a pair of shoes and my towel. And I got straight on the carpet.
But yeah, shipping, like I was saying, if you're getting stuff from Japan now, because they had to raise their shipping rates. That's why. They're expensive now. Because I remember we were going to, we were getting actual Japanese snacks from Japan, and we canceled it because they raised the shipping rate to $25. So we're like, we're going to go ahead and cancel this right now. So yeah, if you order anything from Japan, the shipping's going to be expensive. Well, I was going to order one time a sword from JQ. This is a while ago. I haven't tried again yet. And they wanted to calculate shipping. So I was like, okay, calculate. And they said for where I lived, it was going to cost me $60. And I was like, what? No. I never put my order in. So I was like, no, I ain't paying $60 for shipping. Yeah, you get bent. I can see if a sword company wants it, that you need to pay for shipping. $60? No. No. Not doing that. Especially since it was under $200 sword, because I still don't own a JQ or whatever, which would have thrown it over $200. I was like, this is why I picked the sword that I picked. No. It's all good, Outlaw. Yeah, that's $60 for shipping. That's ouch. That's actually a lot. Well, yeah, see, that's like okay, Hanbon, Swords of No Shadow. That's why they do it's kind of like says free shipping. They kind of calculate in their prices a bit, but they're not like throwing like $60 or so for shipping. It's all done up already. It's all good, Tempest. It's all good, guys. Yeah. Yeah, outlaw $60. Nah, sorry. It's just like, no, 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 no. You guys can either calculate it in or give free shipping, especially if you do a custom job. Because let's face it, when you do custom jobs, it's going to cost you more money than off the shelf. Okay. Because you want specifics. And then on top of it, to throw something like $60 shipping on that, it's like, really? You can give me free. I'm already almost spending over $200, almost over $300 for a sword. And you want to drop that on me now? Yes, Space Ghost. I've heard that they're good, and Tone Dev's got some. Their wraps are phenomenal. They do Hishigami papers, and I think it's standard for all their swords. Because I would love to try their Shobu that they have. Thank you, Kingfisher, and welcome. Glad to see you can join. Because I've looked at, it wasn't recent. It was this year. I've looked at JQ. But yeah, everybody loves their wraps. Well, the thing Tone Deaf with JQ is they do have different fittings. They really do. Now, Hanbon is offering, they have for a while now, Hishigami papers. Hishigami papers in real Japanese silk and silk sagios. And I think to have them do a handle for you with Hishigami, I want to say it's $45 additional. Yeah. Hello, ask him. Sounds good, Bird. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. No problem. Always willing to. What you should try, Bird, is the 6-strand rope rat. I want to say it's Jabberwocky or whatever. It's a weird name. I have it written down just to have it in front of me. Or my wife's all Jabberwocky. That's a difficult rat. Yeah, Outlaw, chill, dude. Everything's good, man. Yeah, kingfisher, just like my Swati. That, and from what I found out historically, that was only reserved for high ranking. So you don't see it much. And for Swati to offer it as already pre-done, that's pretty amazing. I haven't seen anybody else do it. Really? Yeah, tone deaf. So Swati's the only one I know that does it. Okay, so Skyjiro and Zisei. Yeah, that's a complicated rap to do. It really, really is. Not very many people do it, but man, that rap is so comfortable in the hands. Tell me, Space Ghost, if that rap is not comfortable in your hands. Yeah, it's hard to describe too, unless you actually have one in your hand. It's a way different feel. You should, Space Ghost. I mean, they make a really good blade. Oh my god! For an underdog, I will say Sword Company that a lot of people have not heard of. They make a really good sword. I mean, my Dragonfly, nothing has come loose on that Dragonfly. Now, the butt cap, when you do that wrap, I mean, I had to glue it because after a year or so, it started getting a little wiggly. So I just put a couple dabs of glue on it, and it's fine now. But other than that, that blade is a beast. Oh my god. And the handle's good. Oh, I bet, Bird. I bet you the silk is a big difference. Are you talking about the wrap outlaw on the Swati? Because yeah, it's an awesome. It feels so good in the hands. Yeah, and that's pretty common on basically almost all swords, on all katanas. That it just starts getting loose. Well, Bird, that's because you know how to do it, man. I'm sure if I sat down and practice, I could learn how to do it. I just don't want to. But yeah. Oh, I could have the patience. I just don't want to do it. That on top of it, we have cats. So I have to find a room that I can go to because they will definitely grab it. Yeah, tone deaf cats are. Literally, they are. So yeah, it's bad enough. We have one cat who's an additional beginning of this year, actually December, addition to the house. If you didn't see my post, I made a post about it. It was a feral cat. She wants to go after Asagio on my Sayas. So I can't just have it like laying on the table. She'll go up and try and pull on it. I'm like, no, don't do that. She's the only one who'll do it too. Oh, that's a whole different beast there, Tempest. Wrapping on a long grip on a longsword. At least you could, with that, if it's a wooden core, you could get some leather and some glue and wrap it that way. Just make sure it's super tight. What do you mean gouging itself, Outlaw? Oh, gorging. Oh. Well, what you can do, we have something called slow feeders. So basically, they have to work at getting the food out. Okay. And the one thing cats don't like doing is having to work for their food a lot. That's one way you can do it. The other way is you can put the food down and teach it at certain times it will eat. But you have to remember when to do it and do it every single time until it catch on. So we actually use slow feeders because now we have the feral cat is in the habit, it thinks it's never going to eat, so it just eats constantly. And then we have Maple, who's kind of looks like part Maine Coon. She's constantly eating. So that's why we have the slow feeders. So get a slow feeder. Get a slow feeder. And then it can't do that anymore. We got ours off of Amazon. It has 6 openings or 8 openings, 4 are opposite each other on the bottom, and then they have right above it a tilted one, so they have to reach down in. They really have to put their paw in and pull that out, the food out. Yeah, I've seen those. Those are kind of neat. only puts out a certain amount every time. And you can set it up for what time, too, on some of those. We just got a simple one. You just pull the top off. It's got tray is only about that big around, about that deep. So you can limit what your cat eats. So that's the only way you can do it. From keeping a cat from gorging itself is a slow feeder. Or like I said, you only put the food down at a certain time. But the problem is with cats, they will look for food elsewhere too, though. So yeah, just get a slow feeder. That'll take care of it. That really will. Well, to be honest, Tempest, you should keep your cat in your house. Seriously. Especially if it doesn't have all its shots. You should keep your cat in. Even though our cats are all up to date on their shots, we do not let them outside. I mean, they actually will not go outside. Not even the cat I brought home that was feral. I left the door open for some reason. I was being a dumbass one morning, getting ready to go to work. Left the front door open. The cat was staring out like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, cats will do that. Yeah, you better watch it with that pit bull bird. He doesn't chew it up. But yeah, cats will do that because there's three things a cat always thinks of: hunt, kill, eat. Those are the first three things a cat always has in his mind. It doesn't matter if it's a wild cat or household cat. It's always on their mind. Always. So yeah, if you keep them inside, then they have no choice but to eat what you give them, unless you leave food out. So you can control it more for them. That's funny, Outlaw. Yeah, I've never heard of that stuff neither. That bird's using. So basically, the bird is pleather. Yeah, like I said, just go on Amazon. They're not expensive. I would get one that's inexpensive to try, because the automated ones are a little bit more. They can get pretty pricey depending on what you're looking for. But just get a simple slow feeder, and believe me, the cat will use it. Okay, guys. I think I'm going to wrap this up. And I want to say thank you for everyone jumping in the live. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys' support. And hopefully someday all of us can get together. Thank you, Tone Deaf. As one big group. That would be good. I even thought at one point, because my goal is, because I'm always trying to do something different, is to make short films with bladed weapons. And I thought that'd be kind of cool if I get all the YouTuber sword community people on board and we do one big film. That would be kind of cool. Because really, if you want to make one, just make it. Just make the film. So, all right, guys. Joe can film it. He can help film it. Absolutely. So I don't know, guys. Maybe someday that is a possibility. We'll get everybody together and we'll do a film. So, all right. Thank you again, everybody. Like I said, I appreciate the support and I really appreciate you guys sticking around. So, all right. Everyone have a good weekend. Be safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will see you all later. Yes, we can, Outlaw. We can do Katana Land. See you guys.